In this training, we will discuss guidelines to completing assessments and reassessments for the Michelle P. ABI and ABI long-term care waivers. The initial assessment should be completed 14 calendar days, not business days, from the referral date for Michelle P. For ABI, the initial assessment should be completed 7 days from the referral date. However, if you are not able to complete the assessment within the 14 days or 7 days for ABI, you will need to document the reason in case notes. Why should you document this? If you fail to do so and not give a reason as to why the assessment was not completed within the time frame, this can be viewed as non-adherence or non-compliance with the PDS regulation, and we will cite this during an annual monitoring to your agency. The types of assessments are different for HCB and SEL. The SIS, or Supports Intensity Scale, serves as the part of the assessment process in SEL. The SIS is conducted every 2 years by a DDID representative. Case managers can draw from identified needs using sections and numbers that categorize the type of support, frequency needed, and daily support time, which can then be incorporated into service plan goals. For HCB2, the state will send out nurse assessors who will perform an assessment on the HCB2 participants and applicants. This is known as the KHAT, or Kentucky Health Assessment Tool. The nurse assessors will contact you as service advisors if necessary and will be available to each of your agencies should any type of changes warrant a reassessment. These assessments are crucial because the person-centered service plans are built off them. So what are the requirements of the assessments? These need to identify the participant's needs and should describe the services that cannot be managed or arranged by the participant or the participant's family. Each time an assessment is conducted, an assessor should be asking different questions as to how, when, how long, and where tasks are completed. It is appropriate to request a participant to conduct some or all steps of a task to validate the ability. It is also important to note any discrepancies in your observations or interviews. An example of this could be transfers. If it is stated that a child needs assistance with all transfers, however, they are visibly running around and playing independently, this would not be an accurate description. An assessor should also evaluate the individual's physical health, mental health, social supports, natural supports, and home environment. They also need to be completed not only with the participant, but also with the representative and legal guardian. This next slide is page 2 of the MAP 351. It applies to Michelle P. and ABI waivers. This page is designated to collect information about the participant's awareness of rights, a description of relationships the participant has, any community involvement or engagement, any medical health concerns, addressing the participant's awareness toward dignity and respect, and also lifestyle choices. This page is important to detail because the detail here can support goals pertaining toward activities or delivery and cannot be addressed in the activities of daily living, ADLs, or instrumental activities of daily living, which we refer to as IADLs, or other sections. If the participant is unable to complete a task independently, then the question must be answered in detail. For each task the participant is unable to complete independently, it needs to address how long the task takes to complete, the style of assistance needed, and the frequency of the assistance when needed. If an item is marked no, it is critical that you explain the frequency needed and provide a detailed comment in the box. Examples could be eating, dressing, or bathing. If a participant is unable to eat independently, in the space provided, it should tell why he or she is unable to, who may currently assist with this task, the frequency of the task in a given day or week, and also how much time it takes to complete. As stated before, this information helps generate the person-centered service plan. Please do not just use the check boxes. This is page 3 of the MAP 351 for ADLs, or activities of daily living. If the member cannot perform a task, ensure there are comments to back that up on the right side. This page for number 19, we are looking for a detailed description of the participant's life. What are the diagnosis, living situation, tasks unable to complete, possible goals, etc. If someone were to read this description only, they should have a good idea of the participant's life. What are the assessor requirements? Michelle P. requires 2 signatures for validation. This can either be a case manager and a registered nurse or 2 registered nurses. For ABI and ABI-LT, only 1 signature is required, and it is a case manager or a support broker. To obtain a level of care for ABI, ABI-LT, and MSLP, assessments and reassessments should be uploaded into MWMA and CareWise, then has 3 days to respond. Let's briefly discuss reassessments. The purpose of these are to determine the continuing need of service. You will need to follow the same procedure we discussed for the assessment. Reassessment should be conducted annually and can be completed up to 60 days prior to LOC expiration. They also need to have the proper signatures that I discussed with the assessments. So this is 2 signatures of either case manager and registered nurse or 2 registered nurse for ABI, Michelle P, and ABI LT, 1 signature of a case manager or support broker. Keep in mind that a participant needs to be covered by a valid LOC for all reimbursed services verified by a prior authorization or PA. Reassessments also help to determine the continuing need for service. For example, if the participant has suffered a loss of a limb or stroke that has significantly altered the way in which they live, this is something that needs to be documented and updated on the reassessment. The reassessment should be the most accurate description of the current condition for the participant as well as how they operate each task. Do not copy and paste from a previous year. Again, you can use the assessment and reassessments to justify a change in the person-centered service plan. Please be aware that citations for potential recoupment will take place if an assessment or reassessment is not completed in full and within the required timelines. Citations for potential recoupment will also take place should the plan of care goals and requests clearly deviate from the assessment. The LOC must be obtained and documentation must be retained in the participant's chart for monitoring purposes. As I stated earlier, the participant must be covered with a valid LOC for all reimbursed services as verified by the PA. This concludes the training on completing assessments and reassessments. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please contact Dale at 502-564-6930 or email us at dale.pds@ky.gov.